Welcome to Mirror Domains Movie News, your place for entertainment headlines. And indeed, this is a live news show for movie fans where we talk about all the trending movie news headlines of the day, including, The Little Mermaid winning at the box office. We're going to talk about the live-action poll that's up on Joe Blow. What is the best live-action Disney adaptation? I'll vote in the poll. I hope you guys will vote in that too. I'm going to talk about that John Wick 5 news. Martin Scorsese wants to make a movie about Jesus, that carpenter from Nazareth. We got some various TV headlines, but we start off today's show by talking about Elemental, Pixar's Elemental, right? And early reviews are coming in. Let's take a look. Elemental review, Pixar's timely high-concept bonanza. Oh, that's not good. Underwhelms. Oof. Eesh. Now, I'll tell you this, guys. The Elemental trailer played in front of my copy of Little Mermaid over the weekend, and I gotta say, it didn't wow me. I watched that trailer and I was kind of like, okay, I get it. They're outcasts. She's fire and he's water, and they're polar opposites. I get it. But I'm not the target demographic. This is a kids movie. But James, don't you know that Pixar makes movies for adults as well as kids? Well, no, guys. Seriously, we do Grumpy Man Reacts on this channel because I'm a grown man and I haven't seen all of these kids' movies. For me, unless I'm going with my niece or something, then I just never went to see them. But I played it. I watched it while it played in the theater, and I was just like, this looks so generic. We can telegraph exactly what's going to happen, right? They're going to be opposite, and then they're going to find out that they actually suit each other and stuff like that, personality-wise, and everybody will be happy in the end. There. Do we need to watch that movie? I don't know. Pixar. And everybody likes to use that argument that, James, at least it's not sequel stuff. At least Pixar's still trying to create, original stuff. But I don't know. It didn't land for me. Did you guys like the Elemental trailer? And it says it underwhelmed. So the early reviews are coming out for Elemental, and this opens up June 16th. So we're still, a couple weeks away here. 3 weeks, right? Is there anything up on the Rotten Tomato meter yet for this? 56%, only 9 reviews. Well, that's higher than what Fast 10 is at. Is it higher than Little Mermaid? Oh, Little Mermaid, 67%. Yeah, so Elemental. But that's only early reviews. Guys, this is one where it's like meant for really younger crowds of people, right? But it's Pixar, and Pixar has that brand of, we put out, at least if you come out and see it, then you'll like it. But Pixar's been really not all that good as of late, right? A couple of their last films didn't do so well. Lightyear was Pixar, wasn't it? Lightyear was, God, I don't know. It was way too long. Yeah, running time is important for these. Because it's cartoons, an hour and 42 minutes. I don't know, man. That's a bit too long. These cartoons, these need to be like an hour and 20 minutes, guys. That's what needs to happen. That's just my observation. High concept bonanza. Yeah, the high concept stuff hasn't been landing. What was it? Strange Worlds that came out last year. Complete box office monumental bomb. And that was high concept. Kids just aren't resonating with it, right? They want to see Transformers. They want to see Little Mermaid, which we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. So what do you guys think about some of the early buzz for Elemental? Was it something that was going to be on your radar? Arglass says, $1 for Little Mermaid. Yeah, indeed. Bye for the Hobbit in live chat says, hey, how's it going? Chris Schober asks, how's my day going? Chris also says something there about Mark Hamill. We'll get to the Mark Hamill stuff in just a little bit. But, it's Monday, and it's a long weekend in the States, so, well, let's talk about that box office report. So, Little Mermaid came out, and it toppled Fast X, which is good. So, Little Mermaid flop. What? China box office. Oh, okay. So this is the China box office. Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. Here are the North American box office. The Little Mermaid swims to the top of the weekend box office as Fast X takes a dive. So depending on where you're in the world, I guess, look at the contrast of the headlines there. Little Mermaid swims to the top while Fast X dives in the North American audience. If you're looking at it from China's box office, Fast X wins. While Mermaid is a flop. I'm trying to quantify, I'm trying to articulate what's going on here with the international audience when it comes to Fast 10. Let's just pull up the box office numbers here and take a look for the weekend. Because it is a long weekend, we're going to get two results here. We're going to get the 2-day numbers here. But we're not going to go by these because here in the 2-day numbers say that's 95.5 for Little Mermaid, but we're going to go by the official Memorial Day long weekend here numbers for the domestic box office haul, which Little Mermaid had 117.5 million for its opening weekend, which is really good, I think. It was a little bit lower. I said what it was 120 million. It was batting around there for on Friday, so it's a little bit under, which is fine. The other openings were The Machine, About the Father, Kandahar, and You Hurt My Feelings. So for the top 5 of the weekend of May 6th, 26th to the 29th, number 1 was The Little Mermaid, number 2 was Fast X, number 3 was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, number 4 was the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and number 5 was The Machine. That was that comedy where one of the guys upsets like a Russian oligarch, right? And Gerard Butler's Kandahar opened up in 7th place. Okay, so, well, we'll pull up the Little Mermaids here. I want to pull up the budget because we're going to take a look at the numbers here. And we need to at least be aware of the numbers looking at this. So, 117.5 domestically, 68.3 internationally. I don't think it's quite opened up in all the markets yet internationally. 185.8 worldwide for its opening weekend for Little Mermaid. What was the budget for it? 200 million. And that's without marketing. That's not with what the theater hall is going to take. So marketing, let's put on another 100 million onto that, plus what theaters are going to take, another 100 million. So it's got to make around 400 million to start to break even. So when we look at those numbers for Little Mermaid, it's not even back to its production budget. Now, there will be people out there with the hate bandwagons circling around this saying it's a box office bomb, complete failure. But let me remind you, last week, Fast 10 came out, and it's not faring so well, and its budget was much higher. And people are going to try to spin that as the huge success, as we've seen in the headlines, right? China's box office says that it wins the second weekend. Little Mermaid flops. But when we look at the North American one, it says Little Mermaid swims to the top. We just got to be, mindful of these things, right? Again, I don't understand why some people are just so locked into the China box office as if it adds anything. Like, if it's a good movie, and for the most part, what I saw from my review is that people were chiming in saying that, they really enjoyed this version of The Little Mermaid. I certainly did. I don't understand that people get just so fixated on the China box office. But, Spider-Man No Way Home will prove to you that you don't need China's box office to make $1 billion, right? Here's the thing about, as much as I want Little Mermaid to do well and survive, let's be honest, next week it's going to run up. It's going to run up against the juggernaut that's going to be called the Boogeyman, right? Easily $200 million opening for the Boogeyman. No, it's going to run up against Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and that's actually, you know what? It's probably going to be around the same amount, 117, 120 for Spider-Man next week. But everything is going to get shifted down, and I would expect Little Mermaid to be chopped in half. But I'm hoping that the word of mouth out there is going to still help The Little Mermaid, because some people will say that it's a critical bomb, but it's 67, which is closer to the 7 out of 10 mark. I think people who try to tell you that it was a terrible and awful movie, and then, no. The Little Mermaid suffers from a lot of the younger generation, or sorry, my generation, people who saw the animated one, because a lot of the reviews that I saw was like, well, I saw the original first, and I was kind of like, I went into this with certain expectations, and it didn't meet up to those. So it's like, why are they doing this? I was just like, get out of here with that. You got to be able to take that hat off sometimes too, right? I'm so thankful that I never watched the animated one before I went out and saw this one. It does make me want to go back and watch the animated one with you guys. So we may be doing that at some point here in the next week, because I'm curious to see how it matches up. For me, this is my first time being exposed to the Little Mermaid story, and I liked what I saw. Could have been shorter, most definitely. It would have made it a tighter film, and had that maximum repeat value to it. But I really enjoyed it, and as far as it trying to make its money back, I said it's got to be around that 400 million. If we're in the summer season now, so it may have like another month, but it's not as if these numbers are going to go up. Maybe in the international markets once it opens up into a few more markets. Obviously, it's opened up in China, but it hasn't in all markets. So I'm hoping that the international markets will come in on this one for a save, which is really weird, because usually China and the Japanese markets, they like those weird abstract stories with like underwater beings and stuff. Like Avatar does well over there. I don't know why this Little Mermaid didn't appeal to them. Fast 10 there won the China box office. So let's go over to the Fast 10 numbers. And the second spot, 28.6, which had a drop of web. And people aren't going to report it this way, guys. Fast X, they're going to try to say that it's a big, huge hit. But it had like close to a 70% drop in the second week here. 70%, which is not good. Domestically, 113.6 domestically, 399. It's going to make most of its numbers from international. So it's crossed 500, 512.9 worldwide. But again, next week, Fast X is going to hit the Spider-Man wall. And then after that, it's got the Transformers wall. Fast 10 is going to be struggling to make what the previous franchises have made in the domestic box office. We go back to the history here. Domestically, we look at this row here. 107 domestically right now. Fast 9 made 173. Hobbs and Shaw made 173. And Fast 7 made 353 domestically. I think that Fast 10 is going to struggle to get to 173, because we're accustomed to these types of movies. And that's what I meant when I was trying to quantify what the international markets for the Fast and Furious is, that I like, it's the only, it's not the only conclusion, but it's the most glaring one, is that the international markets, like people in China, they're just not accustomed to seeing a movie like Fast 10, where we are here in North America. We've seen it. And it's kind of like, we know, just like Elemental, we know what's going to happen in the story even before we go see it. And it's kind of like, it's long. And as I said, I had fun with Fast 10, and I'm looking forward to it wrapping up with 11. With these numbers, I'm thinking that Fast 10, if Fast 10 doesn't make, like, what did we forecast? That it had to make at least 600 million to to break even, because it had like a 350 plus $1 million budget, and that's not taking into account the marketing and what theater percentages are. So it still hasn't broke even. It's still right now, Fast 10 is a box office bomb. It's a bomb. I don't care what the Chinese, if it's winning the Chinese box office. I don't. The way I look at it is because they just haven't been accustomed to it. They've purchased the flashy lights. They've purchased, they're just not used to the CGI stunt work and stuff like that. So when they see it, they're kind of like a younger audience going, woo, yeah. But we see that all the time here, right? And it's kind of like, well, we knew what we were getting with Fast 5, 6, and 7. That was like, it was really solid stuff. But then after, they should have ended it with number 7 with Paul Walker going off. But they're trying to milk it for everything that it's worth. And I don't know if it's going to be successful, guys. Because this too, that while Fast 10 had the highest budget of all time, $350 million, that budget is going to be equal, if not higher, for Fast 11, because everybody's contracts for it get a bonus, they get more. And as a studio executive, I see that the domestic box office numbers for Fast 10 are not going to be there. We have to rely on the international audience for it. But look, if the worldwide totals here for the are not going to be there. Like let's say that Fast 10 caps out at 800 million worldwide. That's not going to be good enough for Fast and Furious 10 for me to say that it should be a trilogy to wrap us up. It shouldn't be. They need to wrap it up in number 11, and it's going to have cameo galore in it, and it's going to be jam-packed, and they're going to say it's got to be a 3-hour film, and I'm going to be like, no, Fast 11 should not be a 3-hour film. Fast 11 should be a 2-hour film max. Max. I would love Fast 11 to be a 90-minute film, and it should be. Why couldn't it be? Because you're building it around the big fight that's going to be between Jason Momoa and Vin Diesel, Jason Momoa and The Rock. Those are the two big fights. They team up to take them down at the end, and that's it. You ride off into the sunset. You don't need to have 2 hours of, let's spend 20 minutes over here with Ludacris and Tyrese. We don't need that. You don't need that. Or 20 minutes with Charlize Theron. As much as I love Charlize, this is kind of like, I don't know. It's getting away from them. Anyway, I'm digressing, and it sounds like I'm bashing Fast 10. I had fun with it. As I said, I think Jason Momoa is coming in here for the save for the franchise. And now that you're going to have Momoa and The Rock in there, I think it's going to be enough, as long as that budget just doesn't get too overbloated. Anyway, I've been rambling on about that. Guardians of the Galaxy still hanging in there, is in the 3rd spot. Super Mario's hanging, in the 4th spot still. But we got some newer movies that got released this week as well. So we need to take a look at some of these. The Machine. Opening up and just crawling there into the 5th spot, right? The Machine. So this was that guy who was like a party animal when he was younger, and he partied in Russia. And then now that he's older and he's got the beard gut, it's got Mark Hamill in it. The trailer looked fun. I just kind of like, I saw Little Mermaid over The Machine, and I should go see Blackberry. I should. I never got around to this one. 8.8 domestically. That's actually not that bad. 8.8 domestically, and for a number 5 spot, 8 million worldwide, 5.8 domestically. Right? Why is it? For the 3-day weekend, I suppose. About My Father. What's that one about? When Sebastian tells his old Italian immigrant father Salvo that he's going to propose to an all-American girlfriend, Salvo insists on crashing a weed. Okay, so it's about culturism, a stereotype there that we've seen play out many times before. Oh, my father doesn't. My father wants me to marry an Italian woman, or my parents want me to marry somebody from India or something like that. We've seen variations of it, right? Kandahar, Gerard Butler. The trailers did nothing for me, guys. And I do like Gerard Butler. I still think fondly of Plane that came out in January. This one, I don't know. A CIA operative and his translator flee from special forces in Afghanistan. Well, I'll tell you this. Even though that I wasn't a high priority, I'm glad that they put it out in theaters anyway. Because Kandahar, About My Father, You Hurt My Feelings, these are movies that you could easily say, well, it should just be out on streaming services. It should be out on streaming services. Tarantino wouldn't agree with you, but and I'm glad that they put it out in the theater because at least they're getting a little bit of money, right? 1.7, which you wouldn't have made on a streaming service. Maybe in the rights contract you would have gotten about that much, but it's 1.7 for You Hurt My Feelings. What the heck is this about anyway? Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Tobias Menzies, Owen Teague. A novelist's long-standing marriage is suddenly upended when she overhears her husband give his honest reaction to her latest book. So, well, it has Julia Louis-Dreyfus in it. I like her. She's funny. Yeah, just didn't fare that well. Maybe it was like a day-and-day release. It was only in 900 theaters. Yeah, see, these ones were only like in 2,000 theaters. Actually, for The Machine only being in 2,400 theaters there and getting that much cheddar. Actually, I think that's kind of a win for The Machine. And The Machine won't have a big budget anyway. It won't. Ooh, 35 million. Ooh, you spent 35 million on that? I don't understand that. I don't. For God's sakes, Jason Blum made Invisible Man for 7 million. Why does this comedy need to be 35 million? I don't get it. I don't. But anyway, I'm rambling. We've been going for a bit long about the box office anyway. What did you guys think about The Little Mermaid coming in there at the number 1 spot? Obviously, it's not going to hang on to it. But I thought it was worthwhile seeing in the theater. I really liked the music in it too. Yes, I didn't mind the Aquafina song either. I know a lot of people said, well, it's cringeworthy. I didn't mind it. But yeah, we're full blown now into the summer season. As you can tell, starting to warm up a little bit, so you're going to start to see a little sheen build up on the forehead. I don't know if I'm going to be able to endure most of the summer like this. I might have to buy one of those small compact air conditioners because the air conditioner that I have in my room or for my apartment, it's out in the other room and we don't have central air, so I have to leave the door open to my room to start to cool things off. I don't know. I'll take a look into it, and then what I'll do is I'll turn it on like 30 minutes before the show or whatever, cool down the room so that we can go for an hour here in the mornings and just ramble through some of these stories. Talking about The Little Mermaid and the live action adaptations, Joe Blow has a poll up that I thought we would just take a look at for favorite live action Disney. Well, it says remake here. Well, when I started to take a look at their list, it was a little suspicious. I would contest some of these ones. Jungle Book 1994, 101 Dalmatians. Okay, that would be a remake. But 102 is a sequel, so I wouldn't really call that a remake. Alice in Wonderland. So they're pulling in ones here that I didn't quite remember. Sorcerer's Apprentice was not a remake of Fantasia. See, that's the one where I'm like, what the heck are you guys smoking? Now you're just trying to shoehorn ones in here. That's not a remake of Fantasia. Maleficent is not a remake of Sleeping Beauty. it's supposed to be a prequel. It was supposed to be how Maleficent turned evil, but it was just kind of like a different side story, so I don't count that one. Even though I liked Maleficent, I liked it quite a bit. Sharlto Copley, Angelina Jolie. Actually, I really like Angelina Jolie as Maleficent. I thought that was perfect casting, just like Melissa McCarthy was in Little Mermaid. It was perfect casting. Cinderella 2015. I never saw it, so I don't know. Jungle Book. Favreau. Pete's Dragon. Yeah, that was a remake. And actually, I like that one too. But that had a lot to do with Bryce Dallas Howard. As you know, I got a thing for redheads. So Bryce Dallas Howard was in Pete's Dragon. I need to watch that one again. And I like that one too. Alice Through the Looking Glasses, again, it's a sequel. I wouldn't really call that a remake. Beauty and the Beast 2017, haven't seen it, but it was in the polls. We were going to watch it one time for the Grumpy Man Reacts. Nobody voted for it, though. Christopher Robin, a remake of the... No, it wasn't a remake of the Winnie the Pooh. He was just older. He came back, kind of like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, except Pooh didn't murder him. Dumbo 2019 was a remake. Tim Burton. That one was meh for a lot of people. Aladdin. Aladdin was 2019? That seems like it was a while ago. Lion King. Yeah, that one. Again, what's with Maleficent, Mistress of Evil? See, some of these I would just disqualify. You have to. Lady and the Tramp was a remake. Mulan was a remake. Cruella, again, was not a remake. It was just a weird off story, just like Maleficent. I wouldn't put this one in there. Pinocchio last year was a remake. That one was a complete bomb. I wouldn't even know if I would call Peter Pan and Wendy a remake. Obviously, guys, you know I said it out of my straight out of the theater reaction. My vote is going to be for The Little Mermaid. So this poll is up on Joe Blow. I implore you to go over and vote in it. I'm going to submit and let's see what fans are thinking. What's number one? Let's start off at the bottom. What didn't get any votes? Alice Through the Looking Glass, Pinocchio. Yeah, that should have gotten downvoted. Oh no, so we got 3 votes. Dumbo got 12. Yeah, a lot of the sequels, I wouldn't put them in there. Cinderella 2015, all the way down there, huh? Lion King, 101 Dalmatians. Little Mermaid, there. Okay, so it's got 53 votes. What do you guys think is the number one? Is it Beauty and the Beast? Because Beauty and the Beast was $1 billion movie, right? Oh, no, there it is right there. Over Aladdin. Wow. Jungle Book was number one. The 2016 Jungle Book was number one with 194 votes. Wow, Pete's Dragon was up there too. Yeah, I really like that Pete's Dragon. Because she was like, she adopted the kid, right? So, and I'm adopted. So, you know, I related to it on that. It was right next to The Little Mermaid. Those were my 2 favorites right there. Little Mermaid and Pete's Dragon. Curious, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. All right, guys, there are all my other social media handles that you can follow here on the channel. Sometimes I publish shorts and stories that you can see on TikTok and Instagram that are not here on the YouTube channel. Because for some reason you have to have 10,000 followers to unlock stories on YouTube. I don't understand that. I don't. Whatever. Transformers Rise of the Beast is just around the corner, and, well, the director says Transformers Rise of the Beast director wants main villain to span multiple sequels. Is that a bit of a spoiler? We've seen that in the trailers that Unicron, that you can vaguely see here at the top of this picture because it's cropped, is going to be appearing in this. And now I say to that headline, yes, please. The Transformers doesn't need to make the same kind of style of movies as the MCU, where you have like one-off villains just to establish the hero or have the hero go off on this little thing. Build up the bad guys as well as the good guys. That's the MCU hasn't been doing a very good job of that, right? They did it a little bit with Thanos. He appeared in post-credit scenes until we got to him. And they were trying to do a little bit more with Kang, having him be the villain appearing in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but I don't think that's going to work as well as they wanted to. But yes, have a bad guy that spans. Like, he shows up. We know that the threat's big. The big threat's coming. Why not? That's what I would say, because it's different, right? It would separate you from the MCU too with that different kind of storytelling. I just don't know why they haven't pulled that trigger sooner. So he said, while discussing the movie with Den of Geek, quote, "I introduced Unicron. I was dying for Unicron to show up in a live-action movie. And to be honest, I'll put it out there. I want him to be across the next 2 or 3 films. A really major villain." So what I mean by spoiler then is if he's saying that, he's a bad guy. They can massage that in such a way that, yeah, you defeat him in the first one, but he's going to be back, just like what they did with Kang, right? I feel like we spend a lot of time on Earth, and it'd be interesting to see what else is out there. There are different Transformers and different planets. Yes, there's the planet of junk and stuff like that. Planet of Char, different planets, and we just need the right vehicle, the right team to really do it. I feel like there was a foundation of that, and that's something really special, close quote. And Unicron is definitely one that you could use as like the Thanos of the Transformers universe. Transformers Rise of the Beast comes out June 9th. What do you guys think about the quote of maybe perhaps building Unicron to be a villain that would span multiple Transformers movies? I'm on board with that. That director is Steven Caple Jr. He did Creed 2, so he's on board for this, directing this next installment of the Transformers movies. It sounds like he's a fan of the franchise. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. 6 live comments. Chris Schober's been talking about Mark Hamill, saying that he might not return to Star Wars, it's rumored. Well, he's already kind of returned to Star Wars even after the sequel trilogy. We'll talk about Mark Hamill in just a second here. I hope that the rumors are not true about Mark Hamill not joining Star Wars, because that would be a letdown of the franchise. I don't know. I don't know about that, because there was a rumor that Hayden Christensen is a Force Ghost and Mark Hamill's Luke's Force Ghost too. Yeah, the Force Ghost stuff, if they're Force Ghosts, why can't Luke talk to his father, right? They should. They should be able to. Yeah. I know that in the EU, like in Heir to the Empire, what Timothy Zahn did, he established that, yeah, they're Force Ghosts, but they can only stay around for a certain amount of time before, because they're using the Force as entities to make that image, right? And they eventually will want to go back to the Force and have like that ability just to not have to have that responsibility anymore, kind of thing, right? That's the way he explained it, because I think Obi-Wan said goodbye to Luke in Heir to the Empire as a Force Ghost. He said, I'm going back to fully rejoin back in with the Force. You're not going to see me as a Force Ghost anymore. I think that's what happened. It sounds really familiar. Will the movies do that? I'm sure. Filoni's in charge of that movie, so it's possible. We'll get to the Mark Hamill here in just a few minutes. Guys, for the last, week, the John Wick headlines have been out there, and I didn't want to talk about it because it was kind of like, it seemed like a no-brainer, but Lionsgate confirms John Wick 5 in early development, with Keanu Reeves starring John Wick Chapter 4 topping 363 million globally. And, it made more than that, didn't it? Let's just go over to the numbers. John Wick Chapter 4, worldwide 428. Oh, I thought it made more than that. With a production budget of 100 million. Okay. Well, as you can see, though, looking at the trajectory here of each release, it's been climbing. So when you've got progress like that, where the numbers are climbing, studio executives look at the money, they look at the cheddar, and they're kind of like, well, even though I was really satisfied with what they did with Chapter 4. I thought it was the perfect um, poetic ending for the John Wick franchise. Money talks. Money talks, and the studios are officially talking about what they would do with this. Is there a workaround for what happens at the end of number 4? Yeah, but it would be kind of cheesy. And you got to be careful here, because you don't want to pull the Indiana Jones where you have like them riding off into the sunset, like with Last Crusade, and then make John Wick Chapter 5 be like the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull of the John Wick movies, right? Because there is going to be that ballerina spinoff that's coming out, and it's going to have Keanu Reeves in it. It's just, that's the way that I would have preferred for them to continue to use John Wick. Is have him show up in these side stories. Maybe even have him be somewhat of a prequel, but they would have to do de-aging for that, and I don't know if I want to see that. But he's free. He's free of the table. His story wrapped up, so it would seem really tacked on, right? For him to come out of retirement or do whatever they were going to do, have him discovered again or something like that, to have more action. You would have to go prequel. Have it take place between number 3 or 4. Have something like that. It's John Wick 5 technically, but it's not canon-wise. It doesn't take place after Chapter 4. After Chapter 4, canon-wise, John Wick Chapter 5 can take place earlier, right? And they've done that in other series like Fast and Furious. Like chronologically, the first 5 happen in different orders, right? So it's possible. As I said, the money talks. I didn't really want to talk about it that much because if they're starting to develop it, you know what that could also mean is that they're just batting around somebody at lunch saying, well, you know what, we made a lot of money with John Wick. Maybe we should do another one. And then that's it. That's all that could be. That's why I didn't really want to talk about it. And when we were in full John Wick mode, I talked about that as a possibility for scenarios for John Wick Chapter 5. I do want to see it. It's just, I'm not sure. On another note, talking about Keanu Reeves, he was once a part of a band called Dogstar, and recently in Napa, he rejoined it for a performance, which was kind of cool. See, he played the bass. So to see him up on stage there, guys, I implore you to go check out, if you're a fan. And actually, I listened to that song there, that cut. What's it called? Blonde. Not bad. Not bad. And as an artist, I can relate. Just because he acts doesn't mean that he doesn't have other artistic endeavors. Me, I play guitar too as well, right? So being up on stage like that too, there's a rush to it, man. And it's good to see Keanu back doing something like that. Because it's never gone in you, that desire to be up on stage. If you were a fan of that, I just thought it was kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, so I saw that as well. It was trending as a headline, so go check that out as well. What is it with coffee? It's like drying out my mouth. I might have to rethink. I might have to go back to the Earl Grey. It dries out my mouth too much while I'm doing the live streams. Martin Scorsese is going to be doing a movie about Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Martin Scorsese meets Pope Francis, announces film about Jesus. Jesus, the carpenter from Nazareth. Okay. So is that going to be his next picture after Killers of the Flower Moon? Well, hey, he's up there in age, right? He's 80 years old, and if he wants to make a movie about Jesus, we've seen our fair share. Which reminds me, isn't Mel Gibson supposed to be doing a follow-up to Passion of the Christ? Anyway, let's take a look at his quote. Martin Scorsese, quote, I have responded to the Pope's appeal to artists in the only way I know how, by imagining and writing a screenplay for a film about Jesus, Scorsese announced on Saturday during a Rome conference at the Vatican. And I'm about to start making it, the director added, suggesting that this could be his next film. Well, didn't he do another movie where Willem Dafoe played Jesus? Didn't he do that? Let's take a look at his IMDb. Right? Am I not remembering this properly, guys? Killers of the Flower Moon. You hear good reviews. Oh, God, is that Scarjo? Jesus. Sorry, whenever I see her, she takes my breath away. It truly does. All right, director. Let's take a look. Previously. Yeah, it wasn't, he did one, I'm pretty sure, a while ago, like a long while ago. James, it was like one of his first ones, wasn't it? Last Temptation of Christ. Yeah, there we go. That's what it was. So he's handled this subject matter before. Yeah, it was Willem Dafoe that played Christ. And apparently he really he put his body through some punishment for that role. Scorsese. So he's not foreign to this concept. I just hey, if he wants to go back to this material, well, that's Barbara Hershey. Wow. And Harvey Keitel. Wow. I'm somebody who's like, okay, if you want to tell a different take on that story, by all means. You talk to the Pope to get permission. Do you need permission? Scorsese, he's one of those people that's kind of like, well, even if you, regardless of the run times that make you go, whoo, you still want to see what he's going to do, right? Oh, and there's somebody's got a picture of them there with Francis. James, you're supposed to call him His Holiness. Wow. Sorry, I don't. I know a lot of people have the highest respects for like people of that stature. I mean, I would have a respect for him. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't disrespect him, but I'm kind of like, you got to bow to him. You gotta be humbled to be in his presence. And it's like, for me, I would treat you guys the same way that I would treat the Pope, with the same amount of respect. Trust me, and I wouldn't be a butthead, but it'd be kind of like, oh, Francis, I'm going over there. Nice to meet you. That's pretty much all I would be. There are people out there that would make me get down and be kind of like, Tay-Tay would be one of them. She would be. Oh, you can't see her. I updated my my desktop. But yeah, there are people out there, I suppose. For him, I guess it is the Pope. But what do you guys think about the new, him making a movie about Jesus? Okay. Artglass says Martin Scorsese is a shoe-in with the target audience. Yeah. Last Temptation of Christ, yeah. I need to go back and rewatch that one. I'm pretty sure that I saw it at the video store. It's been a while, though. Again, it was one of those, like, that subject matter, because it was about him on the cross, too, like, right? Him getting beaten and stuff. It's hard for people to watch. I'd love to see an epic St. Patrick feature origin story. Okay, let's talk about that Mark Hamill headline that people were talking about, because this was splashed over a couple of trades. This one comes to us by Cinema Blend. Mark Hamill. Star Wars Mark Hamill offers thoughts on more young Luke stories and if another actor should take on the role. Could we see more young Luke after The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett? I imagine that we will, because Dave Filoni's doing a story that's going to wrap up The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and stuff, or at least tie them into a movie that he's going to be making called Heir to the Empire. And of course, why wouldn't you have a younger Luke, and that young Luke in there? Well, let's see what Mark Hamill himself said Quote, people say, oh, now you're going to be able to do a whole series of Luke post Return of the Jedi. I said, I don't think so. First of all, they don't need to tell those stories, but if they do, they can get an age appropriate actor. So by that, it would sound like he's not on board with it. But, you know, I've seen the set photos of him on the set of Mandalorian and stuff and Book of Boba Fett, where he wants to be on the set, even though it's another actor doing the younger version of him, like running around and stuff. He wants to be on there reading the lines, delivering them, to get the feel for the scene, right? Which Mark Hamill he's just an overall cool dude. He truly is. And a lot of people could read this as saying that, no, he doesn't want anything to do with Star Wars. But I'm just saying here that I think that he wouldn't be closed off to it. Like, it's easy to misread this by saying, I don't think so, saying that there would be more stories of him post Return of the Jedi. There already have been, right? First of all, they don't need to tell those stories. Well, they already have been, but they don't. But they do. They could get an age-appropriate actor. I think somebody else playing Luke Skywalker, and people say, well, get Sebastian Stan. Well, it's possible. But then again, why wouldn't you? You could just go back and redub him. I don't understand it. I could definitely see people misreading that, though. But I do think that he's going to be part of that Filoni movie. We'll have to see what happens. I don't expect him to be part of the Mandalorian anymore, now that Grogu's gone off and obviously chose not to be there with him. But I do believe that he could be part of Ahsoka and that storyline dealing with Thrawn. Because Thrawn was, part of that era where you had Luke, right? It's possible. Interesting quote. It's going to be all splashed all over the pages. I don't think you need to read too much into it where it's kind of like, I don't know if he's going to come back or not. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Okay, guys, let's get into some Arnold headlines. Because we've been watching Fubar on the channel. Yesterday I took the day off. I'm sorry. It is the long weekend. It is the weekend. It's going to happen. I'm going to be taking weekends off. And we're going to watch episode 5 later today at 1 p.m. So we'll be coming back to watch episode 5 of Fubar. Wrap up the last 4 episodes of that season this week. I know that it's... nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger and Fubar. But we do have some other Arnold headlines that are of some curiosities. Arnold saying that he's open to joining the MCU. Arnold would suit up to join the MCU, but who would he play? You know who? Actually, before they got Harrison Ford to play Thunderbolt Ross, he would have been a really interesting pick to play Thunderbolt Ross. Arnold? Because we know that Thunderbolt Ross becomes Red Hulk. Arnold as Hulk, a Red Hulk. You missed an opportunity there, man. I think you did. But who would he be? I don't know. While speaking with Men's Health, he was asked about the MCU, and he said, quote, if the role is right, close quote. So it's very short. He talks about doing Batman and Robin and says, I don't regret it at all. I felt that the character was interesting in 2 movies before that one. Schumacher was at his height, so the decision-making was not off. Yeah, it's just the script. It was the script that let down Batman and Robin. I still thought that it was an inspired choice. And they somehow, and it sounds like Matt Reeves is not going to do Mr. Freeze for the second Batman movie, but if they can get a Mr. Freeze storyline of him, trying to save his wife and stuff, and he hates Batman because he thwarted his attempt to try to save her. Like that's the backbone. That's the emotional backbone of that story. Um, and Arnold had a few scenes where he was talking about his wife and stuff, but then it just got bogged down in all those cheesy one-liners. Ice to see you. Hi, everyone. Chill. I was just like, ugh. God, it was just, ugh. It was like pulling teeth. And Arnold's usually pretty good at pulling off the one-liners. At least with Fubar, the one-liners, they space them out. They're peppered in there sparingly, so they pay off. Like the Predator one that we saw in episode 4, right? Like that. So Arnold also was talking about Bruce Willis, talking about his retirement, Bruce Willis's retirement. He's saying that we never really retire, we reload. Basically, yeah. Willis has like that stage 4 dementia or whatever, and he just goes on to praise him. He says, Arnold says, quote, I think he's fantastic. He was always, for years and years, a huge star, and I think he will always be remembered as a great, great star and a kind man. What a mensch, Arnold. What a mensch. Talking about Bruce Willis there. Because they worked together on the Expendables films, right? But they were like action stars in the 80s because he had Die Hard and Arnold had like Terminator and Predator and Commando and stuff like that. So it was cool to see them together in the Expendables 2, right? Is when they really had a couple of good scenes together. He went on to add, quote, I understand that under his circumstances, health-wise, that he had to retire. But in general, you know, we never really retire action heroes. They reload, close quote. Yeah. Unfortunately for Willis, he's not going to be able to unretire. But Arnold, he's still out there. He's doing Fubar. So, and we are halfway through Fubar right now, and as I said, we're going to be watching episode 5 of Fubar this afternoon. So, just a couple of quick little Arnie quotes there. Byfer says Arnold should play Juggernaut. That would be kind of interesting for the MCU. I think I don't know how they're going to explain Deadpool in the MCU. Because we've seen those, like, we've seen the cameos of the old X-Men in Deadpool 2, right? Like how they're going to use Colossus. Is that going to be the same Colossus that we're going to see in the MCU? Is that going to be the same Negasonic Teenage Warhead? And is that going to be the same Colossus? Because that Colossus was CGI, right? Sorry, not the Colossus, but that Juggernaut in Deadpool 2. I don't know how they're going to explain all that. But let's get into some various TV headlines. We're rounding out the show here, guys, coming down toward the end. Some very curious TV headlines as well. We're not going to be talking about the finale of Succession because I never watched it. But The Last of Us Season 3 isn't guaranteed, but a vision is already there. Well, we know that the vision was that they were going to split the second game up into 2 seasons, right? Because there isn't a third game. I don't know how they're going to handle season 2. If I understand what happens in the video game from the second video game, if they have to do something with one of the characters to focus in on only one of them, I don't know if the audiences are going to stand for it. Because it's going to be like the same situation with Grogu and Mandalorian, where they got rid of one of them at the end of one season, but people are just like, I'm not going to watch Mandalorian if Grogu's not in it. Well, are you going to watch The Last of Us if one of them is not in it? How do you do that storyline, right? They have to handle it with care, right? So he says here in a quote, co-creators Mizan and Druckmann, they have a vision for it. Quote, I think Craig and Neil are still figuring out what they're going to do to come to an end, Orsi stated. Francesca Orsi, head of drama at HBO. We have loosely heard that it will be a season 3 for this series, but at this point, we're taking it one season at a time. There's no guarantee at this point we'll have a season 3, but I know they have both a vision for season 3. Whether that lends itself to doing more seasons or not, I don't know yet, close quote. So it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. They don't seem like they've got an idea of what they want to do. The first season was great. I thought it was great. A little quick to wrap up there at the end. I agree about that. I never played the game, so I don't know that. I just felt like from the pacing of the story. But I liked it. I liked The Last of Us. And we did full live watch-alongs on there on the channel here for sure. And we'll watch season 2 for sure here. Why House of the Dragon season 2 episode count was lowered. Yeah, we got reports earlier that House of the Dragon was going to be down from 10 episodes to 6, I think. Or was it 8? Was it only going to be 8 episodes? Basically, guys, it's basically what I'm glad to hear what the choice of lowering it, for the reasons of lowering it. She says, this Orsi says, there was some question about the narrative shape of season 2. We were developing it with Ryan Condal and Sarah Hess, and we realized that we were sort of treading water narratively in the middle of the season, close quote, which means that we had this arc, it completes under a certain amount of time, and if we were going to try to expand it, then we would have to put in filler. And I'm not a big fan of filler episodes. I'm getting the impression with Fubar, we're getting a few filler episodes. Fubar should have been 6 episodes instead of 8. But I'm glad that they're being aware of that. We're not going to put in filler. We're not going to put in filler. If it's 6 episodes or 8 episodes, we're not going to acquiesce and just put in a bunch of fluff, because that's overall going to be detrimental to the series. Because and I know lots of people hated it for Game of Thrones season 8, but I think that one was a little bit more merited, where you had bigger storylines that had developed over 7 previous seasons that you could have taken your time to give a little bit more weight to people's closing out of storylines, right? This is only the 2nd season, but I'm glad that they're taking it with a little bit of a measured result. Not too surprising, that headline, I suppose. More TV headlines. Daredevil's Vincent D'Onofrio would love Kingpin to be the new owner of the Avengers Tower. That would be cool. And we know that Vincent D'Onofrio is on board with Kingpin. He's, like, again, perfect casting. Just like Melissa McCarthy was for Ursula. He was a perfect casting for Kingpin. And Daredevil Reborn, can't wait to see what's going on with that, because he's going to be back in that. D'Onofrio won't confirm if Kingpin will be the new owner of Avengers Tower. A lot of people were wanting Osborn to either take over Avengers Tower or Doctor Doom to take over the tower. But Kingpin would be also a good choice to take that spin on it, right? Kingpin. And he's good as he's like, he can just go to the Daredevil or Punisher clips of just seeing him as Kingpin, and he just pops, because that's the power of D'Onofrio. His scenes are just like, wow, he was born to play that role, right? And I haven't seen his scenes yet from Hawkeye. The first episode didn't really wow me. Let's see what he said here in his quote while he was talking with comicbook.com. Quote, I don't know, I was sitting with a real journalist. I know that Vincent D'Onofrio would be interested in... Okay, so that wasn't him. Who was it? Oh, maybe it was him. First time I heard of anything like that. I have no idea. Are you asking me if I think it could be really cool? Yeah, I think it would be cool. Totally, I would love to do that. Of course, because he likes to play the role. Eventually, I'm going to kick Spider-Man's ass, D'Onofrio says. Yes, That's what we want to see, because Kingpin was part of putting together one of the first Sinister Six teams, wasn't he? Yes, I do want to see. And now that we know that Daredevil appeared in No Way Home, please, please see this version of Kingpin square off against Spider-Man, or at least, have a bout with him. That's cool. That's what I would want to see. And D'Onofrio would chew up the scenery for that one for sure. All right, guys, we're running a little bit over time here, and my mouth is getting really dry, which it shouldn't be, but this coffee, maybe it's this brand of coffee. Maybe I need to go back to the Tim Hortons coffee. Let's get to some hit or miss. If it's a hit or miss. Insidious 6 to star Mandy Moore and Kumail Nanjiani. What? Guys, Insidious 5 isn't even out yet. The Red Door, which comes out next July, right? Insidious the Red Door, it's like July 6th or something. But apparently, there's been like a secret project that's been already filmed, and it's the casting synopsis read Thread, an insidious tale with the logline, with the help of a mysterious stranger, a couple reeling from the loss of their daughter Zoe journeys into a terrifying realm known as the Further in a desperate attempt to change the past and save their lives. Well, the Further is what that underworld, the upside down world, is in the Insidious movies. So it sounds like they film they're going to be filming like a spin-off, not directly tied. I'm getting Insidious 3 vibes here, man, and that's not good. But I do like the cast. Mandy Moore taking on a horror movie. That's cool. I don't know, man. Thread. Synopsis seems reasonable enough. Yeah. I don't know. If any more details about that one develop, I'll get back to you guys. Jaws 2 is getting a 4K UHD release for its 45th anniversary. And that's something guys, aside from getting a new computer, which I'm going to get around July 10th, I'm going to get I decided that I'm going to get a proper 4K TV as well. I know that some people just aren't caught up with it, but if I because I want to get stuff like this when they're doing 4K releases of like Jaws 2. Jaws 2 is not a masterpiece or anything like that. It has its charms. The soundtrack for Jaws 2 is really cool because John Williams came back to write it. 4K release of Jaws 2 will have the bonus features of some deleted scenes, the making of Jaws 2. John Williams, the music of Jaws 2. Cool. So there's going to be a small documentary about that. I'll be wanting to check that out. But yeah, why not? And you know what? 4K TVs, you can get like a 40-inch one for like a couple $100, right? $400, I think I saw at Walmart or something. Why not? Blow a paycheck on it, James. Get a new TV. Why not? And then you'd be able to partake in actually watching the 4K version of Jaws 2. Jaws 2 is only okay, yeah. I liked it when they got to the part of the kids out on the boats. That's when I really enjoyed it. The shark on fire and getting scarred up and stuff like that, that was laughable. But I liked it once it got out to the kids out on the boats. Now, that part was fun. Mr. Christian. Mr. Christian. Yeah. And they did some really cool cinematography in that one, right? Where they drug the camera behind the boat underwater to have that POV shot of the shark coming up behind the water skier. Really cool stuff. I did it. I did enjoy it. Good soundtrack, too. Quentin Tarantino slams streaming movie. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm running out of. Quentin Tarantino slams streaming movies. It's almost like they don't even exist. Guys, we talked about, well, we saw this headline last week and stuff, and I didn't really want to talk about it too much because it was just Tarantino saying that streaming movies aren't all that big of a deal. But it just seems to be resurfacing and resurfacing. I can't get away from it. Let's address it now. What do you mean, Quentin? It's like they don't even exist. I think people from the Glass Onion, we had lots of fun watching Glass Onion here, would disagree with you. And Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon, is going to be on streaming. What are you talking about? Like they don't even exist. Again, Tarantino is somebody, if you don't know, he's obsessed with the old style of filmmaking. He insisted on Hateful Eight being shot on 70 millimeter because he bought a certain camera and stuff like that. He's like Christopher Nolan. It's got to be about the IMAX experience. He's a little bit like Cameron, where it's got to be all about that big theatrical experience. And I'm like that too, but I'm also not ignorant enough to close my mind off to the streaming movies, because as I said, we have lots of fun watching Glass Onion, and I actually like J-Lo in that Mother movie. But Tarantino's been kind of, I don't know, maybe he's being misquoted here, speaking with Deadline, talking about this, streaming services, and it feels like projects exist to feed the content machine instead of being remembered. Quote, I mean, I'm not picking on anybody, but apparently for Netflix, Ryan Reynolds has made $50 million on this movie and $50 million on that movie and $50 million on the next movie. I don't know any of these movies. I don't know what any of these movies are. You don't know about The Gray Man? Hey, even I know about that, even though I didn't finish watching it. I've never seen them. Have you? Well, lots of people saw Glass Onion. I haven't ever talked to Ryan Reynolds' agent, but his agent is like, well, it cost $50 million. Well, good for him. That's good for him that he's making so much money. But those movies don't even exist in the zeitgeist. It was nominated. What are you talking about? They don't exist. It's almost like they don't even exist. Yeah, Tarantino's being a little bit bullish here. A little bit of ignorance there. I think maybe he's saying it as a slight to try to still promote that theatrical experience. But I look at movies. Who was it that asked that question last week? It was like Scorsese, right? What is a movie nowadays anyway? Well, it's still a story. It's still storytelling. And it doesn't take away from the medium. And as much as they still like to promote watching on the theatrical experience, like I came out of Avatar, Way of Water, saying you got to see it on the big screen. Most people still watch movies just on this, guys. They do. And they don't feel bad about it. Not at all. They don't. So it's kind of like Quentin, he's going to make one more movie anyway, and then he says he's done with it. I respect him as a filmmaker. I do. I just, I don't know why you got to attack it, right? Hourglass says, I'm sure Quentin doesn't mind the odd residual paychecks from things like Pulp Fiction on Netflix. Yeah. Pretty sure a few of them are on Netflix over here. Yeah. Hateful Eight was on just recently on there as well, right? Quentin Tarantino, I don't know. As I said, this quote has been surfacing for like the last week because this Deadline interview, and people are just mining it for content. I didn't really. We saw this like on a Twitter roundup, right? And I thought that I had covered it, but I thought it would be worthwhile just talking about it again. He goes into talking about like monetary values of it and stuff like that, but that doesn't. No, it's still all about storytelling. And while things like Red Notice there with The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot were kind of like throwaway kind of fun type films, there are other good ones that do come out. Like we watched The Relic, we watched Glass Onion, we watched The Mother, which I really enjoyed. So there is good content out there. Viking Wolf, oddly enough, I found was really entertaining on Netflix. I like how they Netflix and like they're bringing in content from like other countries and stuff too, man. So you're really looking down your nose at a whole bunch of content here, Quentin. And I don't know if I can get on board or behind some of your comments. Yeah. Look, Brunner says, pretty sure Inglourious Bastards was on Netflix. Yeah. Yeah, it was. Wifer says, we saw your Taylor Swift background from the reflection on your phone. Oh, did you? Oh, Jung Yi was on Netflix as well, too. Yeah, that one, too. That was the guy from who did Train to Busan, did Jung Yi, too, right? So there you go. We saw your Taylor Swift background on the reflection. Oh, did you? Yeah. Well, hey, it is what it is. Yeah, because it's coming up to June. I like to try to change my desktop every month. I'm not somebody who likes to have like the buttons like it's like a laptop screen or the icons for the apps. I still prefer the old school desktop setup for my tower and stuff like that. All right, guys. Yeah, we're going way over time today, but that's fine. We'll still get around to watching the 5th episode of Fubar at 1 o'clock. We'll still get there. I got to make the thumbnail for it, but we'll get up there. We'll still watch Fubar at 1 o'clock. See what's going on with that. So, you would say that that's pretty much all of the day's show, but we will just take a quick look at the Twitter sphere to see if any new trailer is dropped. See if anything newsworthy is trending. Jonah Howard King on The Little Mermaid. I said that he was okay in that. Kieran Culkin and Sarah Snook shave Jeremy Strong's head after Succession is wrapped. Okay. Halle Bailey behind the scenes on Little Mermaid. Yeah, as I said, they didn't film it underwater like James Cameron would. It was definitely one of the weaker parts of the film. But you watch it for the singing, you watch it for her performance. Scorsese met with the Pope about making a film about Jesus. Tom Holland stars in Apple series Crowded Room. June 9th. Guys, next week I am going to possibly consider getting a few more streaming services. And Apple TV Plus is going to maybe be on the table for me as one of those streaming services. I've been mulling between that and going back to Amazon Prime. And if we do, then we might watch Crowded Room. Because it looked hard hitting. And it looked like Tom Holland was going to a dark place in this, right? He gets accused of murdering people or kidnapping people from some bad people. The Crowded Room. Yeah, so it's possible. Are you going to be doing Fubar episode 5 and not 6? Yeah, we're going to just take it one at a time. That's the only way I can. I did 2 on Saturday, and it kind of burnt me out. That was too much Fubar. Because Fubar's not the greatest one. He was such a baby. I love him. Talking about Jacob Tremblay. There's Javier Bardem and Halle Bailey on the set there. I know that set. I know when that takes place. That's right near the end, right? Yeah, because you could tell at certain points they were actually standing in water on a shoreline somewhere. Jacob Tremblay. He was the voice of the fish. What would you rank Succession? Yeah, that wrapped up now. So we won't see much of the headlines now for Succession every Monday. Now that that's done. Little Mermaid is expected to have, yeah, we talked about the box office. Happy birthday to Carey Mulligan. Oh, was that yesterday? Carey Mulligan's birthday. She was really good in not Wolf of Wall Street, Wall Street 2, right? She was good in that. Cruella was 2 years ago. Dominique Fishback for Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Guardians of the Galaxy has made over $730 million at the global box office. That's good for what the heck is going on there? That's good for Guardians. Fast 10 has made $500 million at the global box office. Javier Bardem, yeah, Javier Bardem was really good in it. Little Mermaid. Happy birthday to Lucas Gage. Lucas Gage. Don't know who he is. Final episode of Barry ended. So no more Barry or Succession headlines. It doesn't look like there really is that much more trending here. Is Khan still going? God, it should be over by now, right? Top Gun was released a year ago. Emily Blunt, Brian Cox, Actors on Actors series. That'd be kind of cool to see. All right. Well, yeah, I'm running way over time. So I'm going to end it there today, guys. And join us in about 40 minutes for the 5th episode of Fubar. Yeah, because I would need to have this. I would need to have these breaks so that I could cool down the room if I get a small AC unit. Because when it gets plus 40 outside, it's going to be a beast. And it's a good thing that I've gotten these LED lights, because the heat, they're not as strong. The LED lights are not as good as like the big floodlights that I have. But they are what they are. All right. Guys, that's it for me today. Thank you for joining me. If not, I'll see you tomorrow for more movie news. And hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe. See you in a few minutes for Fubar. If not, enjoy the rest of your day. You're watching Mirror Domains.